know, without context, that sounds.
Okay. So I saw posts on the internet, stories about it.
Muster stations are located on the first deck on the dance floor and on the top deck in the open air behind the wheelhouse. A crew member will be at these muster stations if you need help donning your life jacket. In the very unlikely event that we need to disembark the vessel, there are 4 75-person life rafts on board. These are all currently on the top deck. They're going capsules you can see, 3 on the starboard side and 1 on the port side. Disembarkment locations for these life rafts, however, are all on the first deck, on the bow, port and starboard side, amidship through the sliding door on the first deck, on the starboard side, and if the situation calls for, we head through the mending washroom onto the paddle wheel deck and disembark into our life rafts there. Just a friendly reminder, this is a non-smoking, non-vaping vessel for the duration of this cruise. And on behalf of all the crew here on the Iron Queen, welcome aboard. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now open up the top deck to all those who want to wander the boat. I hope you enjoy your cruise. Thank you, and see you soon.
My name's Dave. I met some of you on the line. I'll be your tour guide today. I'm at the back of the second deck with the funny hat. I'm facing forward, so when I ask you to look to the left, it says my left as if you were facing forward. I want you to look to the right now, and out there you'll see an empty horizon. That's Lake Ontario. If you go 175 miles in that direction, you get to Toronto and Niagara Falls. All the water that goes over Niagara Falls comes past us here at Kingston. This is the place where the Great Lakes come to an end and the mighty St. Lawrence River begins. And there's a lot of water. The Great Lakes hold 1/5, 20% of all the world's fresh water. We'll be talking about the river several times more as we cruise down the river. As we swing around to go east down the St. When the settlers had cleared their farms, they could go down to the rivers and streams in spawning season in the fall, and they could take a hay fork and just pitchfork 300 pounds of salmon out of the river every night in a couple of hours. But of course they did that every night in spawning season on every river in Lake Ontario for 150 years, and no surprise, by the year 1900 the Atlantic salmon were extinct in Lake Ontario. But I'm happy to say that about 30 years ago marine biologists discovered a very similar strain of landlocked salmon in a lake in Vermont, United States, and they transplanted them to the Credit River on Lake Ontario that they cleaned up west of Toronto. And for 30 years, the Credit River has hosted a naturally recurring spawning run of Atlantic salmon on Lake Ontario. So when I live to be 1,000 years old, my daughter, I sometimes fancy this is what the Himalayas will look like in a billion years. Most of the Thousand Islands are privately owned. On the Canadian side, we have 34 of them that are national park islands open to the public. The American side has a similar number of park islands that are open to the public. Kingston had its own bootlegger named Dollar Bill, nicknamed Dollar Bill during the Roaring '20s. Dollar Bill lived in an old seaplane hangar up the river from Kingston, and he kept his cases of illegal liquor in the water underneath his boat. He was never caught. He used to come to all the Queen's University football games and cheer the students on. Some of you will know that Queen's University students like alcohol, and I think they cheered a Dollar Bill on more than he cheered them. professor of English named Robert Russell. Robert Russell was a remarkable guy. He was blinded when he was just 5 years old, and he learned to read and write at such a professional level that he became a popular novelist. But he also taught himself carpentry after he was blind, and these beautiful blue and white cottages on the right-hand side were built by Robert Russell after he was blind. And they still owned by his descendants to this day, Robert Russell's family. And they take tender loving care of these beautiful homes. Please do wave. Be as enthusiastic as you want. Most of these folks know the captains as friends. On the left is an island. You wouldn't think they'd have to build one, there were so many, but that one was built by Captain Chapin because he couldn't find one that he liked that was for sale. Just over on the left-hand side, you'll see a stone house on Polaris Island. That was built by Captain Chapin. And coming up on the right is a distinctive cottage called Napoleon's Hat, with a shop road in Napoleon. And the roof was designed to look like the Emperor Napoleon's hat. It was built ashore and brought out here in one piece. And that cottage was built in 1913, before the First World War. Nice beach party. Most of the islands now have electricity running to them on cables underneath the river. But I'm sure there are still some who light their cottages with kerosene lamps in the evening and have hand pumps for water on wells. The river is very, very clean here though. Some of the islanders just stick a pipe in the river and put a filter on it for drinking water. We want to keep it that way, of course. A private island on the left called Forsyth Island. And as we pass Forsyth Island on the left, if you look back at it, you'll see some beautiful yellow and white colonial style boathouses in the cottage. Many of the islands have little bridges joining them, and those bridges became notorious during the late Victorian era, which was quite trim and proper, because apparently couples in love would find these bridges at night and go there for privacy in the middle of the night, so they became known as spooning bridges. And that's what they're called to this day. That's a spooning bridge. There are a lot of spooning bridges. Thousand Islands must be a romantic place. Straight ahead is the little resort town of Gananoque, Ontario. Gananoque roughly quadruples in size during the summer from tourism. All of the islanders go there for all their supplies, some interesting country general stores to explore. You can organize any on-water activity you want there, from guided fishing trips to hunt muskies, to kayaking trips and canoe trips to camp on the Thousand Islands National Park Islands, to renting boats for water skiing. You can catch other cruise boats there as well. And they have a live theater called the 1000 Islands Playhouse, playing Mamma Mia all summer long. And you can get to the theater by boat as well. They also have a nice museum that's worth a visit, showing off some of those beautiful speedboats that the rum runners and the whiskey smugglers used in the Roaring 20s. Gananoque is an indigenous word meaning water running over rock, and I can't think of a better metaphor for this part of the world than that. We're turning to head up the Wanderer's Channel now. They didn't ask me what it should be called. I would have called it the Wandering Channel, the way it twists and turns through the islands. On the right is a private island. That's called Big White Calf Island, with a beautiful brown home on it. Each of the islanders has their own distinctive style, of course. Some like it very manicured and civilized, and others like it a little more wildernessy. You can see the shallow water over the side of the boat very close. That's why we need a very talented and experienced captain to guide us through these narrow waters. Yes. On the left is a private island called Mudlunta Island. A beautiful place. It has a spooning bridge running to the barbecue pit. On the right hand side, Lindsay Island. Lindsay Island is one half private. Not sure you can see the river's gone down about an hour already. On the left is Bostwick Island. Bostwick Island is known for two things. One is it had the first cottage in this part of the Islands. Sadly, although it was built in the 1870s, it burned down in 1884. But subsequent owners have built on the same footprint, and they have added.
Oh yeah. Keep that going. You sing. Are we moving? Are we moving? Are we moving? Are we moving? Sha la 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 la. Sha la 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 la.